What would you do if your parents, who already had two biological children, decided to adopt a teenager, and in doing so, completely upended your life and disregarded your feelings and privacy? In today's story, the protagonist's choice is a masterclass in how to handle it. Our story begins with Alara, a 15-year-old girl, living with her parents, in their mid-40s, and her spirited 9-year-old brother, Leo. Alara's parents had always harbored a dream of adopting. Even though Alara and Leo were their biological children, they had decided that an older child would be a good fit for their family. They soon connected with a 13-year-old girl named Jessica. Due to her current circumstances, Jessica wasn't living with them yet, but they had met a few times, and she had even spent a weekend at their home back in January. Jessica, despite moments of sweetness and kindness, was, to put it mildly, high maintenance. She struggled with significant anxiety and anger issues. Her mood could escalate from calm to explosive in an instant. Alara vividly recalled an incident during Jessica's weekend stay. They were out shopping for clothes while her parents were enjoying a coffee nearby. A man accidentally brushed Jessica's shoulder, mistaking her for his own daughter, and immediately apologized. But for Jessica, it was a trigger. She erupted, screaming in the middle of the store. Alara was the only one with her, desperately trying to de-escalate the situation, but Jessica bolted. An hour later, Jessica was found, shaken but safe. The shocking part for Alara was the aftermath. She was grounded for failing to be responsible for her sister. Alara remembered the sting of her parents' anger when she retorted, "I don't have a sister." They chastised her, asking how she dared to be rude, seemingly oblivious to how much Jessica had endured. While that was the most dramatic public outburst, Jessica had other fits, albeit none quite so monumental. Alara also noted Jessica's tendency to be cold, untrusting, and incredibly clingy towards her parents. Alara truly admired Jessica's bravery and acknowledged her struggles, but the thought of living with her filled Alara with dread. Her parents were constantly on the phone with Jessica, and Alara always made an effort to say hello, trying to be civil and supportive. Yet, it felt like Jessica was the only topic of conversation, even before she had moved in. She isn't even here yet, Alara would think, as her parents endlessly praised Jessica's bravery. The family lived in a 3-bedroom house. Alara's parents had promised they would move to a bigger house later that year. That promise was a small comfort, a light at the end of the tunnel. Then, the bombshell dropped. Alara's parents announced that Jessica would be moving into her room, and Alara could choose between sharing with Jessica or with her brother, Leo. Alara was aghast. She didn't want to share with either. Leo, at 9, was a typical messy, loud boy. Jessica, on the other hand, suffered from night terrors, screaming loud enough to wake the entire house. Alara cherished her privacy. Her room was her sanctuary, her special place. The thought of opening it to Jessica, let alone sharing it, was crushing. Alara, her voice trembling, asked about the promised move. Her parents casually dismissed it, saying they liked their current house and had no concrete plans to move. It was at this moment that Alara reached her breaking point. She lashed out, "You guys are forgetting you have another daughter. You're too excited about the shiny new one to remember that the one you have has feelings and boundaries. If you're changing everything I've ever known, at least I deserve to be listened to. If this is how life's going to be, I don't want to have a sister." It's worth noting that Alara's room was large enough to be divided by a wall. Her parents had even considered it a few years back. Alara would have been perfectly content with that solution, but they refused, claiming it was too much effort, despite being able to easily afford it. Alara's parents were offended, accusing her of not being welcoming towards her sister. Alara, in turn, was offended that her entire life was about to be turned upside down, and her most valued possession, her privacy, was being stripped away. This reveals Alara's parents' greatest fatal flaw, their self-centeredness, which ultimately sealed their fate. They were so consumed by their noble act of adoption that they failed to see the profound impact it would have on their existing family. As one online commenter, FM270, aptly put it, "I bet your parents think that taking in Jess is such a kind thing to do. They can't possibly be wrong and everyone needs to just get on board. However, you are a person and your feelings also matter." The story, as these things often do online, blew up. It reached Jessica. Jessica called Alara, and they had a long, heartfelt conversation. Jessica was completely unaware of the room situation and felt incredibly uncomfortable about it. This conversation was a pivotal turning point. Alara and Jessica, united by a common understanding, decided to tackle the problem together. They arranged a family meeting via Skype to explain to Alara's parents why their plan was a bad idea. They even showed them some of the comments from the online thread. The parents, faced with a united front and external validation of their daughter's feelings, were finally forced to acknowledge their oversight. They apologized, admitting their misjudgment and promising to improve their behavior. The discussion then turned to the wall in Alara's room. Alara and Jessica requested it, and to their surprise and relief, the parents agreed. In a moment of almost comical vindication, Alara's father was already watching a video on how to build the wall. Jessica, through Alara, sent her greetings and thanks to everyone for looking out for her. This story highlights a crucial lesson: communication and respect are paramount in any family dynamic. When a significant change impacts everyone, every voice deserves to be heard and valued. What do you think? In a situation like this, where a major family decision impacts an existing child, how much weight should that child's feelings and privacy hold?